Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Monkey Reviews The Passage. I don't know if you can tell, but we're kind of having a lack of voice issue today, but the show must go on, and this show continues to go on, and in case you can't tell, this is now officially a bi-weekly program. I thought I would do, each episode would get its own justice. I would give each episode its own review. But it's just so much easier to do this 2 episodes at a time, even when I can't talk. Why is my voice pretty much dead? Well, I think it's because I've decided to end all of my Twitch streams with a full hour screaming the lyrics to the same Brad Dassey song over and over again. So this I say, as we pray the times to come, at last I'm coming home. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. And I guess maybe my throat has a few limitations, so I apologize that you have to listen to what I assume is the male version of Marge Simpson's voice actress's voice.
Whoa, okay, that's enough for now. Jeez, come on. Don't make me put you under warm water.
But we'll get through this lickety-split. So the trend of the show seemingly being good continues, folks. I still can't believe it, but episodes 4 and 5 were in fact still good. And as they've been making changes from the book, typically these changes are for the worse, but there are a few examples this week of positive changes, doing things that the book didn't do, that I think could be really, really interesting, but we'll get to that. Let's start off perhaps with some strange choices. The main narrative of episode 4 is 2 things. We have an active shooter on the premises of the experimental hotel compound, and we have the backstory to Anthony Carter, which I think is one of the worst changes they've made so far, is changing Anthony Carter's backstory. But we've got Brad and Amy. They're still trapped in this facility. Amy, they're still looking to see the effects of the serum, the viral serum on Amy, and they want to escape. And they're talking about their escape plan very openly in Amy's hotel room, experiment room, whatever you want to call it. And I find this weird. You would think if they're truly testing and experimenting on Amy to see the effects of these things, and double down on the fact that they have a very dangerous secret agent guy who they're allowing to stay in Amy's quarters with her, you would think they would at the very least install microphones and have somebody listening. They have full camera and microphone setups on the other 12 vampires down in the basement, and Amy was given the same serum, so she's going through the same experiment. I don't know why they're not listening in to what they're saying, especially since they're prisoners who will likely be planning their escape.
What's not gonna happen to you because we're gonna get out of here?
How? All I know is the hallway to the elevator to the bathroom. There's men outside with guns every 10 feet. And you said you'd get us out of here. And you didn't get us out of here.
What did I say we were not gonna do? Huh?
Panic.
Panic. And what are you doing right now?
Panicking.
You're panicking. I'm gonna get us out of here.
But for plot convenience, there's no microphones, there's no cameras. They can just openly talk in her room about their big escape plan. And the plan that Brad comes up with in episode 4 is to complain to the doctors and scientists that Amy is a young girl and she needs fresh air, so just let us go play outside and build a treehouse. And they allow it. So now they're just outside the facility, no longer locked up. They're still being watched by a few guards with guns and all that, but they're just building a big-ass treehouse. And yeah. Now once the treehouse is complete, Brad says, "Oh, but this is all part of my 4D chess, Amy. Now that we have this high vantage point, 10 feet up in a tree, we can really get a good look at the compound, and we can more easily plan our escape. And this is when we need to talk about something I'm going to call black girl magic, folks. After receiving the serum that turns people into vampires, I don't know why I'm calling it a serum today, but I am, they seem to be getting these different powers. And Amy, in these episodes, is starting to show some of these powers. She has super speed. She runs really fast. It's revealed in episode 5, she can read people's minds now. She has a supersonic screech ability that we'll get to at the very end. And the weird thing is, even from the book, it seemed that Amy Belafonte, Amy no last name, strangely already had some sort of strange supernatural power before she even got infected. Because when Amy goes to the zoo with Lacey the nun, all the animals seem to react very strangely to her. They start freaking out, and there's a whole ruckus. All the animals are going crazy, seemingly because of Amy. And it might be my small IQ, but I don't remember if that's ever explained, why Amy was such a special person before she even got infected. If it was, I don't know. That might be one thing from the books that I really dislike, is that she already had some weird supernatural connection to nature or something. Hopefully I'm misremembering that. But it seems in this show, she has a different kind of supernatural connection that I'm gonna call black girl magic. In the books, Amy was white. Now that she's black, and maybe this is just reality for all black people. I don't know, not my experience, not my story, but it seems that Amy has the ability to instantly gain the trust and love of all black people immediately. And I wish I could snap. Immediately. You've got Anthony Carter, black guy. Her and Amy become best friends immediately. You've got Lacey the nun, black woman. Her and Amy bond immediately. You've got the black doctor scientist, who I think is supposed to be Sykes in the show. They bond immediately, and Sykes even risks her life later on in this episode, or in episode 5, to help Amy and Brad escape. Then while they're up here in episode 4, working on the treehouse, there is a black female soldier, and Amy says, hey black female soldier, can I have your binoculars? Because Amy wants to use the binoculars to get a better view of the compound to help plan their escape from this Colorado mountain. And the black soldier just fucking gives the prisoner, who she's supposed to be stopping from escape, she just gives her the fucking binoculars and leaves.
Hey. May I use your binoculars? Come on, I've never been to Colorado. I don't know if I'll ever see nature again.
Our secret.
Thank you.
Fucking black girl magic! If there's any black person, Amy can instantly manipulate them to do whatever she wants. Meanwhile, we're getting the backstory of Anthony Carter through flashbacks and through Tim Fanning, Zero. We've said this a million times, the best character, the main antagonist. He is pushing these memories into Anthony Carter's brain because he wants to manipulate Anthony Carter into becoming full vampire. At this point, Anthony Carter is still human. He hasn't really turned yet. And it is Tim Fanning's goal to turn Carter to be one of his 12, one of his main vampire minions, to help him rule the new world that they're going to start when they all escape. And unfortunately, they do change the backstory of Anthony Carter. I've been through this a lot of times, but I'll just very briefly go through it. Anthony Carter in the books, basically mentally retarded, homeless guy, very thin and tiny, probably weighed 90 pounds. A white woman takes pity on him, gives him a job mowing her lawn. She's really unhappy in her marriage. and she ultimately commits suicide by jumping into a pool with Anthony Carter. And I think he tries to save her, but she drowns and dies. And the police blame him, the husband blames him, and Carter is put on death row for this murder that he did not commit. And he feels really guilty and torn up about it. What they do in the show, it's a similar trajectory, but it eliminates every aspect of the Anthony Carter we know and love. He is now a really buff, well-off guy. He's a realtor, I think. He's selling all these really fancy houses to people. And Rachel, I believe her name is, the Rachel character, the woman who drowns in the pool, she is instead Anthony Carter's lover. She meets him at a house that he's trying to sell, and they fall in love and start making out and shit. And they just date for a long time, and they want to have a life together. And then she reveals one day, oh, I'm actually married, and he's not cool with that. And then she's so sad that she drowns herself in the pool, and he is blamed again. Not as interesting to me. It's kind of lame. Oh, Anthony Carter, this intriguing character. No, he's just like a buff, well-off dude who's having a good time, and then he unknowingly is in a romantic relationship with a woman who's married, and then she kills herself. Why? Why do we have to make this change? Why couldn't he have been the homeless guy, or just a stupid guy? Why does he have to be a big buff, smart? I don't know. I didn't really like it, but Fanning is in his thoughts. He's experiencing these memories with Carter, and he says, man, the world, they fucked you over, Carter. The police and the rich husband, they framed you for this suicide. You don't deserve to be on death row. I know you feel so guilty, but you should join me. Be part of our family. And it's actually the end of the episode where Fanning is giving Carter a speech and ultimately turns him to his side, to the vampirism side. I thought it was actually pretty effective. It's been a little bit since I watched episode 4, but I remember the ending of that not being like top tier Kino or anything, but I really like those dramatic endings of television episodes where a character is giving a really meaningful speech, and then we're seeing a montage of scenes of all the little subplots coming to a head, and the music's really swelling up, and then it ends with Carter going full vamp and attacking and killing some people.
You've been playing this scene on a loop in your head for the past 2 years, and every single time she ends up dead. And every single time you get framed for her murder. So why'd you go down without a fight?
I could have helped her. I could have just said I forgave her.
Oh, my God. Can I reframe this for you, please? She was a mentally ill, selfish drug
you don't know a
addict.
thing about her.
Except I do, because I've been watching the movie with you ever since you got here.
I don't want to die.
So don't. You don't have to. Choose me. The next step is right in front of you. You just have to take it and be part of my family. You want to feel connection? It's human. But in the end, it just hurts you. You got blamed for Rachel Wilson's death because you were poor and you were black. That's where love got you. Why does that not make you angry? I'm offering you a new life. One without pain, one without suffering. Power is what you've been missing. Love without power is misery. Choose, Carter. Do it now. You can curl up and die, or you can be at the top of the food chain. You can cash in, or you can run the table. You can be the victim, or you can be the perpetrator. Either way, your heart is going to stop beating in 8 seconds. So, what's it gonna be?
and Jonas Lear gets some of Carter's blood on his face, and he's like, oh, fuck. Oh, shit. Jonas Lear, of course, being the head scientist behind the operation. So that's the Anthony Carter subplot. That takes up about 30 minutes of the 45-minute episode. All it did was really disappoint me, but it did have some cool moments with Fanning. Fanning keeps saving these poor decisions. Meanwhile, we have the shooter plot, because Fanning and the other vampires are getting in the heads of some of the soldiers and scientists, brainwashing them through their dreams and all this stuff. And one soldier goes AWOL, and he is up on the roof with a big old gun, and he's shooting at everybody, and he wants to get a helicopter, and he's trying to take out the power to, I think, help the vampires escape or something. Ultimately, it's not going to lead to anything. But when this shooting begins, Brad and Amy are up in the treehouse, and they're like talking, oh, we need to find the perfect opportunity to escape as soon as we can. Let's make a run for it. And then we have this active shooter situation back at the compound, and they're over here. Here's the compound. They're way over here in a treehouse. And this guy's shooting bam, bam, bam at all the soldiers, and all the soldiers that are guarding Brad and Amy, like, oh, God, oh, we got to stop the bam, 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 bam. And I'm thinking, okay, this is it. What a great opportunity. Brad and Amy can run away. And then they come out of the treehouse, and they run towards the shooter to be safe at the compound that is imprisoning them.
Stay low. Amy! Amy!
At no point should Amy be running into the loving arms of Richards for protection. Why wouldn't you use this opportunity to run away? It's even revealed here as they're running that Amy now has super speed powers and can run 1 million times faster than Brad. Why not say, hey, Amy, everybody's distracted. You can run 100 miles an hour. Just fucking go. Just get the fuck out of here, Amy. But no, they run to safety by running towards the shooter back into the arms of the people holding them captive. Why? Stupid. Really irritating and stupid. But what are you gonna do? Brad decides he can negotiate with the guy. He goes up on the roof, and the guy is telling Brad all these things about, oh, Fanning's, he's coming for everybody. Oh, it's gonna be the dawn of a new world. We have to do something. Blah, blah. And then Richards just shoots the guy in the head, and that's the end of that. That's the end of that subplot. All it did was really make me angry that they didn't use a golden opportunity to try to escape. And Brad gets a little bit more information about the testing and about Tim Fanning's brainwashing and going into people's dreams, and because Brad has now experienced that for himself. And that's pretty much all of episode 4. Let's move on to what I think was a much better episode, episode 5. But wait, before we move on to episode 5, let's have a quick commercial break and have a word from our sponsors. This week's episode of Mumkey Reviews the Passage is brought to you by Mumkey. If you like Mumkey's content and want to support him, check out patreon.com/Mumkey. If you throw in just $2 a month, you can get your name in the credits of every major video, like this one. Go check it out, patreon.com/Mumkey. Help him keep food on the table after he lost all ad revenue that he was earning. All right, let's go on to episode 5. Episode 5 begins with a director, I think his name's Director Gilder. He works at the Department of Defense or something. He's, a high-level government guy, and he's coming to the facility to see the progress and to find out what's going on, because we just had an active shooter the other day. Richards was going to kill Babcock, but then decided not to. What is going on? Let's take a look. And does he have an ulterior motive? Oh, you bet it. You bet it. What? Is it? Yeah, it's ulterior, right? It's not... Yeah, it would have to be. Oh, no, it's ulterior motive. I'm fucking stupid. Does he have ulterior motives? Oh, you bet it. That's a bingo. Because it turns out the government no longer wants Project Noah, this whole vampire shenanigan. They no longer care about curing the avian flu. He says, you know, we have 9 different guys working on the cure for the avian flu. But it seems you're creating these superhumans who seem to have some sort of telepathic powers, and maybe they can read people's minds, is what you're telling us. The government wants to potentially turn this into a weapon. Weaponize it. We can go to war with Russia or something. But and Director Gilder is explaining this to a couple people, including the black scientist doctor lady, who of course is going to help Amy and Brad escape later on in this episode. I think her name is Sykes. And Sykes voices her concern about this, saying, we think that, you know, people are having these horrible dreams, and I think we're getting brainwashed. And the director says to her, you sound spooked, folks.
They've aggressively targeted people.
You sound spooked.
And immediately I'm thinking, whoa, surely you have a better word in your vocabulary for this particular instance than to tell black scientist lady, you sound spooked. Really, no other vernacular came to mind in that instance. I don't know if I should be upset with the writer or with the character. And by upset, I mean deeply amused, because it was very darkly funny. I can't even laugh. Meanwhile, Jonas Lear, who got Anthony Carter's vampire blood all over his face at the end of the last episode, is worried that he might get infected by it and become a vampire. So he says, black scientist Dr. Lady, lock me up in quarantine. If I start to transform into a vampire, please just fucking kill me. Just shoot and kill me. But first, before I go into quarantine, I want to see my Alzheimer's wife again. Because, of course, this whole thing is happening. The Jonas Lear and Tim Fanning, the only reason why all of this began in the first place is because they're both in love with this woman named Liz, who is Jonas Lear's wife. She has Alzheimer's. It's very bad at this point. She doesn't remember anything, and they really want to find this cure-all magical vampire cure to bring her back. They're both motivated by love, and evidently she is here at the compound in her own little hotel room, and they have a very touching moment where she has no idea what's going on, and he says, I'm sorry, I wanted to do this to fix you, but it doesn't seem that it's working. And I've never really romanticized Alzheimer's before, in the sense of it's never been one of those things that I have really been moved by in media. I don't think I've seen a lot of Alzheimer's based dramas and tragedies, but later on, man, they really get me. I think where this show is gonna shine is when they make changes that include Tim Fanning, of course, that really pull at the heartstrings. The Monkey Boy has some heartstrings. He doesn't have very good vocal strings today, but the heartstrings have been pulled. Brad and Amy are back in their room, even though they should have tried to escape the previous episode, and it is revealed that Amy can now read Brad's mind, folks. She has mind-reading powers, just like Director Gilder hypothesized, and oh man, what a thrill. I guess not much has been done with it yet. It's just revealed that she now has this power among these other powers. And they're still planning their escape. Just endlessly planning their escape. Now, Director Gilder wants to have a one-on-one interview with Amy, because he suspects she has these powers and he wants to see it for himself. So they take Brad and they tie him up and they punch him in the face. Fuck you, Brad. But black scientist lady Sykes, she is not about this. She's not about this. She does not want Amy to be treated as a weapon for the military. So she interrupts the little interview, and after Amy, I guess, tries to convince Gilder she doesn't have any powers, but he's not really buying it. Black scientist lady takes Amy and says, you know what? We're going to get you out of here. I'm deactivating the tracker chip in your neck. Let's go get Brad. You guys are going to escape. I'm going to help you escape. Let's go. Black girl magic. Let's poof out of here. Meanwhile, Brad, who has been knocked unconscious just because the guards felt like punching him in the face while they removed him from Amy for a little bit, he has a dream that he's on the southern, I think, Texas farm with Anthony Carter. And Anthony Carter's mama brings out some glasses of sweet tea and says, you know, my boy didn't do nothing. That white lady, she drowned herself. My boy is a good boy. And you think I'm being racist, but no. Word for word, go watch it yourself. That's what was said. And Anthony Carter and Brad have a little chat about how the game is changing. Both Anthony Carter and Brad just want what's best for Amy. They both want to protect Amy. But Brad does not realize what she needs protection from. Because Anthony Carter is now full-on vampire. He's using his telepathic vampire powers to talk to Brad in this farm dream. And he says to Brad, the game has changed. You guys can escape, you guys can run away and get away from the military people. But you can't escape the entire world. You don't understand what's about to happen. The world is going to change. And it's your job, Brad, to prepare her for this new world. And then he wakes up. So Brad is probably very confused. He doesn't know what this new world, what the fuck is Anthony Carter talking about. Of course, we know, or at least readers of the book know, that, yeah, the government, the military, those are the least of anybody's problems. Any day now, the vampires are going to break out and the apocalypse will have begun. And it's going to be up to Amy to save everyone. Meanwhile, we have Tim Fanning, Patient Zero, going into the mind of Liz, the Alzheimer patient who he is in love with. And the way that because in Alzheimer media, am I pronouncing that right? Alzheimer's? In shows and movies depicting it, you don't really get the opportunity to materialize the illness in the way that Tim Fanning is inside her mind, talking to her subconscious mind. And she's saying things like, I'm so lost. I don't know who you are. I don't even know who I am. I left home so long ago and I just got lost. And she's, sitting in the fog. And it might be a little on the nose, might seem a little simplistic, but I really liked this direct visualization of what is happening to an Alzheimer's person. And they say stuff like that. Do you have any idea how lonely she must be?
Hello? Do you remember me?
I'm sorry, no. I'm not even sure who I am. I left the house a long time ago. Now I'm just lost.
You're not lost.
I keep feeling like there's something I'm forgetting.
I'll help you. I'll stay with you. How about that?
And it's a terrifying thought, having Alzheimer's and your body is restricted. You can't remember anything, and you really just lose sight of yourself. If you think you're lonely right now, at least you know yourself. Imagine being so lonely that you don't even have yourself for companionship. And the way that they visualized and represented this in the episode really struck a chord with me, and I now have a new biggest fear, getting Alzheimer's. So thank you, The Passage. And of course, Tim Fanning's ultimate goal seems to be to cure Liz and to be with her. And we get some flashbacks to 2012, where it's very obvious Tim Fanning is so jealous that his friend Jonas Lear has the girl of his dreams, and they're at a conference together, and Tim convinces her to leave early with him, and he confesses his love, and they make out, and I think it's implied they eventually go on to have sex that night. And this is a memory that Tim Fanning is obsessing over. It's a glimmer of hope of his dreams coming true. It's what he wants. He wants to cure her. Jonas Lear, of course, is locked up in quarantine near Fanning. Fanning uses his telepathy to communicate with him, and he says, yeah, man, I want Liz. Why are you letting Liz suffer from this? Just give her the vampire serum. Let her be cured. And he says, no, I'd rather her die than become like you. I won't let her, even though it would cure her Alzheimer's, she'll just become a fucked up vampire man like you. And so Tim decides, fuck it, I'll just do it myself. He goes full Thanos. I'll do it myself. And by myself, I mean through Gray. You remember Gray? Well, Tim Fanning has Gray, the guard, the sweep, go into Liz's room and inject her with the virus. Dun 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 dun. And that is a choice that I think is great. It didn't happen in the books. It couldn't have happened in the books. But the fact that they're spending 500% more time at the facility than they ever did in the book, if we're going to play around with these characters more and do different things, I think this is a very interesting choice. To have Liz infected with the virus, and by the end of the episode, her Alzheimer's is cured, and she has a conversation with Jonas. Very interesting. Good change. I like it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it. But there's a lot more, folks, because meanwhile, again, the Asian doctor guy, after talking to Director Gilder, he says, give me 24 hours. I will prove that there is a telepathic connection, because he really wants to move forward with turning the vampires into these military weapons. So he gets one of the vampires. I think his name's Winston. It's not really a character that gets fleshed out at all in the books, because he's just one of the 12. And he puts neural things in Winston's brain and puts them on his head, and he's able to communicate with Winston as if he's just a normal person, while in reality he's like just fucked up vampire tied down to a chair. And he's able to talk to him. Then he wants to try it again while Gilder is in the room to prove to Gilder that this is actually working, but Winston's not playing along this time. It's that classic trope of, I did this cool thing. It's like the fucking dancing frog. The frog, hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal. And then you're like, oh, my God. Here, important person. Come look what my frog can do. And then the frog just lays there doing nothing. And you're like, come on. Maybe you pick up the frog and you puppet it and pretend that it's actually dancing. And the guy you're trying to impress just goes, why are you wasting my time with this nonsense? We pretty much have that scene play out. They go full dancing frog on on Asian Scientist Man.
Baby, my heart's on fire. If you refuse me, honey, you lose me. Then you'll be left alone. Oh, baby, telephone and tell me I'm your own.
So Asian Scientist Man is upset. He goes back down alone later on. He says, that's it, Winston. You motherfucker. Why didn't this work? And he's going to put the nodes in his brain to have a one-on-one talk with Winston. But this is all part of Winston's plan. Before the scientist guy even gets the things on his temples, Winston starts talking to him and says, yeah, you're going to regret coming down here alone, aren't you? And he's using his brainwashing to make the scientist man free him from his chains and unlock the door. And it's finally happened. One of the virals, one of the 12 has escaped. And he kills the fucking Asian scientist man. And he's running free through the facility. Red alert! Red alert! Meanwhile, Brad and Amy are trying to escape through the help of Dr. Sykes. They're going to go through some sort of tunnel under the kitchen or something like that. Doesn't really matter where. And the red alert's going off, and they're like, oh God, is that about us? Oh, we're so fucked. Oh boy, they're more fucked than they know, because they're alone in this escape tunnel. And who do they come across but the recently escaped Winston? And at this point, this is pretty hype for me. I'm thinking, this is a great turn. This is really cool. One of the virals escapes, and now Brad and Amy are down alone in a tunnel with it with no weapons, and the viral is attacking them. This is fucking cool. Brad is being attacked and tossed around like a rag doll, and I'm thinking, how the fuck are they gonna get out of this one? Well, here's how. Amy, with all of her new superpowers, now has the Pokemon ability Hyper Voice. I think it's an 80 or 90 base power normal type move, mostly used by Explode, where you can just screech and scream really loud to hurt your enemy. And it's so ridiculously edited that the hype and tension I felt from the scene a moment ago is immediately evaporated, because Amy just fucking screams at him, and it's like, and the viral is like, it pierces his ears, and he jumps off of Brad and runs away. It was just ridiculous. They need to work on the special effects for the powers on this show, because it was like 2009 Twilight tiered stupid. It's really stupid. What is up with these vampire media having really poor effects for showing off the powers? I don't know, but that made me laugh really hard. And that's the end of episode 5. We have this viral who breaks out, kills the Asian scientist guy. Jonas sees the whole thing happen right in front of him. He gets himself out of quarantine because he knows he's not infected. He goes to see Liz. Liz has just been infected with the thing, and her Alzheimer's is cured. And we have Brad and Amy trying to escape through the tunnels. And this is, of course, the midpoint section of the season and probably the series. It's the end of episode 5 out of 10. And there are a lot of really cool plates that are spinning, and I'm looking forward to see what happens with them. It's all pretty intriguing and interesting to me, and I'm actually kind of impressed by how much they're making me like this show. And that, I think, will be it for this episode. This is probably way shorter, but it's really hard to talk, and this is probably really hard for you to listen to anyway. But I said everything I wanted to say. Maybe I don't have to spend a whole hour diving into the show anymore. Now that good things are happening and things are really, the balls are rolling, there's not as much to bitch about. And I'm really good at bitching for a long time. So, for Mumkey Reviews, episodes 4 and 5 of The Passage, I have, of course, been Mumkey Jones. Reminder, if you want to support the work I do, go check out patreon.com/Mumkey, and you can find all my videos and things at mumkeyjones.tv. And hey, go follow me on Twitch too, twitch.tv/MumkeyJones. The Passage, folks, I gotta say, if it keeps getting better and better like it has been, I might actually be upset if it gets canceled, because I don't know how they're gonna wrap this season up. If it seems that the vampires are breaking out right now, I don't know how they're gonna end this shit, but if they don't arrive to the ending they have in mind before it gets canceled, I'll honestly be a little upset, because I am very still curious to see what they're doing. I really am. Anyway, here is about 18 minutes of credits to show off all the patrons. I'll see you next time.